All right, OG, it says we are live. See if you get adjusted there.
Yeah, hang on. I've got some technical difficulties.
Okay, we'll let you untechnical.
Yeah. I just lost part of my earpiece. When I stood up, it hooked and whipped.
Maybe it was one of those Nadler videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is funny as hell. Good evening, Texas bikers and bikers all across the nation. This is Texas Biker Radio number 404 and happy hour number 12. And my name is Mel Popeye Moss, my co-host, Mel O.G. Robbins. We are with Sons of Liberty Riders MC, who sponsors this show each and every week. Good evening, Mel. How are you doing?
Doing well. Just trying to piece myself back together now.
There you go.
Literally.
And what I'm going to do is open my Corona beer right now with my shark opener.
Well, I'm rebelling. I've got some Mike's Hard Peach Lemonade.
Yeah, everybody's getting tired of this Corona mess. But I'm going to drink it anyway. It's going to be cold. It is cold.
I've had it with Corona.
Everybody's had it, and they're trying to once again revive it. You know, there's been a spike in cases, mostly young people, and imagine that, OG. Imagine that it's young people. I mean, I'm driving the other day, and I saw a bunch of kids out on the basketball court going back and forth. There were 25 of them fighting for one ball. And
I know.
Not a one of them wearing a mask or any social distancing.
Well, I just read a real interesting article comparing us to the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not doing as well as they are. As a matter of fact, the talk on the media is the European Union could possibly restrict travel from the United States to Europe.
Oh, there you go. Wouldn't that be a switch?
Yeah. That's kind of a sting in the balls to the United States, but nonetheless, Europe seems to be doing a little bit better. However, some of what the article talked about is that it doesn't seem to be resurging in the areas it was hot with to begin with. It seems to have shifted to other areas of the United States. Now you take that into consideration, along with the fact that it has shifted, and the other issue is that this has happened immediately after the riots, which is kind of a curious thing because not enough time has gone by.
Yeah.
So I think the true test in the pudding here is, and what I was going to say was, along with it having being shifted to other areas, there's a hell of a lot more testing going on.
Yeah.
Which is going to reveal a lot more than it did in the very beginning. For every country, because every country was not doing massive testing in the beginning. And now they're starting to test areas that weren't tested before, like nursing homes, prisons, places that have high density population, and they're coming up with more cases.
Yeah.
On top of which, we all know that the numbers are suspect to begin with, particularly in the fatality area, because there was financial gain if someone was reported having died of COVID.
There you go.
Very specific high gain. And it got even better if they were on a respirator when they died.
Oh, yeah.
So we know there's a lot of numbers in there that were phony as hell. I think people have a right to be indignant to some degree because, let's face it, I'm not seeing any bodies stacked up on the curb yet.
No.
You know, I mean, if this was a true pandemic, to the extent they would make us believe it is, we should see bodies stacked everywhere. I mean, everyone's forgotten about the convention centers that were leased by cities that were never used, the warehousing with refrigeration that were set up and leased in preparation for all of the bodies that were never used. That's not even talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, is coronavirus real? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's as real as the flu is. Okay? It's another viral flu. And it may be a little more serious. I don't know. It seems to have more of an effect on people that have underlying conditions such as diabetes, being severely overweight, things like that. So, you know, your guess is as good as mine, but if you really look around, where the hell is the evidence that this is as devastating as it's supposed to be, or as it's being reported as being?
Yeah.
The body count just isn't high. Should people be careful and cautious? Hell yes, because it seems to go after people that have underlying conditions. So, you know, those same people that have those underlying conditions could get flattened by, you know, a healthy dose of the flu too.
Yeah.
Because there seems to be some kind of a pneumonia type quality involved with this also, which flu brings with it. Most senior citizens, if they're smart, have gotten the pneumonia. There's 2 different pneumonia vaccines that every senior should have. Not just one, there are 2 different types. And if you've only had one, I'd be talking to the pharmacist or the doctor right now to determine which other one you need, because that's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can all talk about, you know, how bad vaccines can be, and you see all this stuff on social media about, oh, I never get a vaccination. Well, hey, you know what? In a year, I have not gotten a flu vaccination. I have paid dearly for it. I have gotten sicker than hell.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to die kind of sick.
Yeah.
Have vaccinations affected some people? Yeah, there's a percentage of people that will have an adverse reaction. So when you get a vaccination shot, it is a bit of a crapshoot. But, you know, if you talk to a lot of veterans, hell, we've been shot so full of so many different vaccines, I lost count.
You know,
when I went into the tropics, man, they lined us up and we got shots for cholera, you name it, you know, we got it all. So maybe to some degree we're a little immune to the thought of vaccines being bad for you because we survived it. I do know, I did talk to, I've got a nephew that's a doctor, and we talked about this vaccine thing. And I said, hey, what do you think? He said, well, this is what I plan on doing. He said, I'm watching. He said, there's a set procedure and process for developing a vaccine. And he said if they roll something out like overnight that doesn't appear to have been tested properly, he said there's no way in hell they're going to hit me with that vaccine.
Yeah.
He said, but if it goes through all of the appropriate steps and then they roll it out, he said, then I'll do it. It only makes sense. And that's what I'm thinking. And I think that's, that's the model I will accept if they come out with it. I think if they come out with it and they developed it properly, why not?
And OG, I was my 5 years in the Navy. And of course, back then, of course, especially in boot camp, they're giving you all kinds of shots. They're giving shots with those damn air guns.
I was going to say, remember the air gun?
Oh, shit.
Don't flinch.
Yeah. It'd rip your arm open or your butt, one or the other.
I know.
And you get up there and there'd be some giant guy in front of you and he either sees that gun or a needle and he just passes out right there.
Yep.
I said, shoot him while he's down.
Yeah. Don't let him get up.
But now let me say some hellos here. Good evening, Ghost Eagle, Ironhead, Master Workshop, Mike Matisse. How are you doing, buddy? You guys, welcome to the show tonight. And man, glad to see you here. And I hope you're well and safe from all this crap we were just talking about. But now let me say something. We got some sad news today. John Bostick, who is a good friend of ours, and he was he was instrumental in when our group was first forming. And,
he was one of our first officers.
Yes, he was. And he was a heck of a guy. I thought it was, we had a Second Amendment rally. Our first rally was a Second Amendment rally. And John shows up on his Harley with an AR-15 strapped to the back of it, sticking straight up.
I remember that.
Sticking straight up. I'm going, oh my God, we're fixing to go to jail or whatever, but I mean, that was early on back then. And wow. But and John brought in a bunch of guys from East Texas when we did our first rally in Waco. And so, he was a true patriot is what he was. And he had some eloquent handwriting skills, not handwriting, but writing skills. And John will be missed. And I'm sad to hear that he has passed on into the next life. And hope he's riding his Harley down the Golden
Riding
Highway.
that rainbow.
That's right. With an AR-15 sticking straight up out of the back. He was a character. He was a character, that's for sure. And wow, Mel. And of course, this weekend, just to keep on the subject of motorcycling and motorcycle clubs, we're going to be patching in a new chapter, and that's always exciting. Of course, we have to make sure that with all the spikes we're getting around here in Texas, and it seems it's the larger cities, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin are having spikes in the COVID deal. But then again, it's like OG just said, we're testing more. So of course there's gonna be more cases. Now, OG, what I found curious was if you go to the COVID-19 website, the Texas website, you'll see a deal there where it shows how many beds are available, how many active cases there are, all this kind of crap. And it said like we had 3,000 something people in the hospital. and then it tells how many. It said we still have over 1,800 beds available. And then you get over to one other part over there, and it says how many people confirmed cases are in the hospital. It says 312.
There you go.
What is that? Was the other shit not confirmed cases? And they can only confirm 312 in the hospital beds? I'm confused, OG. Totally confused.
I'm telling you, this whole thing just stinks to high heaven. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm saying I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah.
But you would expect if it's a plague, there'd be bodies stacked up. And that's not happening.
Yeah.
Now, after all these riots and funerals and all this bullshit that's been going on for a couple weeks now, since Mr. Floyd got killed up in Minneapolis,
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting. They're saying anywhere from 5 to 11 and a half days.
Yeah.
Is what it takes. Now, you do the countdown, 5 to 11, say 2 weeks. Let's give it 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'd say we could probably, we're well into the first week, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Okay, so I'd say by the end of next week, if I don't see cords of bodies stacked up on the streets and the hospitals overflowing, I don't know what the hell to say.
Wow.
I mean, I think we all need to be smart. Wash our hands. If you don't feel good, for God's sakes, don't go out. You know, watch yourself with a little bit of social distancing. I know 1 year, one of the years I didn't get the vaccination, and I think it was back in, I think it was like 2014. 2014, 2015, one of those years. It was the first year we were in the Council of Clubs.
Yeah.
We were at a United Clubs meeting, and I got the flu.
Yeah.
And man, I was in bad shape. And it's because I was in a room that had 200-300 people in it. We were rubbing elbows. I can't remember anyone sneezing in my face, you know, but you shake a lot of hands. We all rub our face, especially if you have a beard.
Yeah. If you got a beard, it's tough to keep your hands off your face.
That's
it really is.
You're always stroking that beard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I think all we're saying here is be smart, think about what you're doing, where you're at, and don't invite trouble. I mean, there is an illness out there.
Yeah.
And you need to be aware of it. I don't think it's the apocalyptic plague that the politicos and the media are trying to play this up to be. I mean, it's been certainly talked about a lot that this is being really drummed up to beat us down on our economy, make it appear that there's all kinds of bad things going on and not being handled properly by the federal government because the existing president is coming up for re-election. Yeah. So if they can try and make him look bad, they're desperately trying to do so because God knows they've tried to do everything in the world to get this guy out of office.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been blatant in your face.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're not talking about promoting any particular political party here. We're just talking about what the hell's been going on in front of us.
Yeah.
And it's pretty obvious to see what is happening here. So, you know, you gotta factor that one in too. That It's being played up a lot worse than it really is. But again, there is an illness out there. Be smart. try and keep yourself protected. If you're around people that have colds or it's flu season or whatever, be smart. Wash your hands. Try not to touch your face. And, you know, do what you can to avoid it.
There you go. Hey, OG, just for some more hellos, let's see. We got In God We Trust showed up. He said guns are just back up. That's what that says on his deal. And Oilfield Trash, welcome. And let me see. This thing goes pretty quick. Well, I saw it there. James W. out in Lubbock. There you go. You know, I got 2 granddaughters out there at Texas Tech. They go to school there. But anyway, welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. And I can't wait to get to this next one. OG, let's talk about Bubba. And I'm not talking about no white guy from the South, Bubba. I'm talking about, here's the deal, OG. The other day, somebody posted on the Facebook about this thing with the noose. And of course, now everybody's yelling, it was a noose. Al Sharpton's out there. It's a noose. And everybody's trying to convince us that it's a noose. Well, I saw a picture of it when it was hanging on in that garage in October of 2019. And yeah, it's a rope off of an overhead door.
With a loop in it.
It does look like a noose. But you know, OG, I think the son of a bitch owes us an apology. He's running up.
I don't see 13 wraps on that loop either.
Yeah, and he's running up and down. He got, you know, the NASCAR president is crying, is carrying on. They got all the drivers and all these people out doing all this jiving and shucking and stuff. And you know what? He owes us a damn apology.
Because you know what we got snickered with?
What's that?
And I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot more of it posted where people caught on to exactly what's going on here. You remember some time back that actor that played an Empire in Chicago?
Yeah.
The crap he pulled to try and bring attention to himself that he was a victim?
Oh, yeah.
Well, here we have Bubba, another Empire victim. This was all bullshit by NASCAR and Bubba.
Yeah.
To more justify kneeling and not allowing the Confederate flag to be flown at NASCAR events. It's exactly what it's about.
You know what, OG? And listen to this, guys. As a veteran, and OG and I both are, as veterans, we would tell you it's absolutely their right to do that. But understand, it is absolutely my right to not participate, to not watch their programs, to not buy tickets to their programs. And that doesn't matter whether it's the NASCAR, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, or whatever sport. If I see this knee taking going on during the national anthem and otherwise, and like in this case where they, they were vilifying the hell, hoping they would find a white guy that made that noose and put it in his car, which it was not in his car. He was assigned that stall, and that cord, that rope, that noose, that loop, whatever you want to call it, was already there. The rope had no idea Bubba was coming. Bubba had no idea of the rope until somebody went into his motorhome and told him. So that's the truth of it. Instead of all these damn lies we're hearing from Bubba and Al Sharpton and all those types. I'm not going to apologize for being who I am. I'm not going to apologize for being white. I'm not going to apologize for my ancestors. I didn't even know the son of a bitches. And let me state this. There's not a person alive today that's ever been a slave. Not one. That happened 200 years ago. And if they want to point fingers, point it at the freaking Democrats. Point it at them. They are the party of slavery. All the people that are pushing this shit.
They're also the Ku Klux Klan.
That's right. That's right. And if you watch Glenn Beck years ago and the things that he talked about on his show, you would understand how many black legislators there was in the South after the Civil War. They were all over the place. But you know what? The Democratic Party weeded them out year after year after year. And that's the truth of it. But nobody wants to hear the truth. All they want to do is yell and shout you down, put you in your place, and you should not be going along with it. Now, these left-wing types are good at contacting these corporations and shaking them down. BLM is getting millions of dollars, and nobody knows where it's going. Nobody. That's the truth of it. And we have the Antifa types with a bunch of young white kids. And like I said the other day on Facebook, this is all our fault. We turned our kids over to these school systems, and for 40 freaking years or longer, they've been indoctrinating them. And what we're seeing on the streets now is the results of it. What you're getting is a sneak peek of what your children and grandchildren are going to be going through. That's what you're seeing. I said a long time. Yeah, go ahead.
Called lack of parenting.
Yeah.
Absolute lack of parenting. The minute you stopped hitting them with a switch and we got rid of the draft, it all turned against us.
Mm-hmm. And number one in the schools was getting God out of it. And now they even want to get rid of the statues of Jesus and murals of God.
Oh yeah.
We gotta get rid of that white guy and that Jew.
They're going after Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
But I got it. My hat's off to the governor of South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
She has put them on notice that they are not getting near that mountain. And that's a federal historic site to begin with. So I would certainly hope that the federal government steps up too. I mean, what's been disappointing to me is to watch all this bullshit going on. And none of the agencies have stood up and slapped them down. They just think, given enough time and let them destroy enough stuff, they'll get tired and they'll go home. Well, to me, that's setting the wrong example. That once again, no consequences. That's what got us here to begin with, was everybody gets a trophy and nobody ever gets punished.
Yeah. You can't punish your child. They'll call a damn social worker on you. But that's one reason, OG, a lot of the people in the black community don't trust social workers, because they'll come and take their kids. They'll be investigated out the wahoo. They don't like the social workers any more than they like the police. So here we go. here we go. But understand, you guys, Antifa has said they're ready to start a civil war. They're ready to start
those pussies will not start trouble in any area where they know that veterans are lined up waiting.
Yeah.
They aren't coming to the strictly conservative areas. These pussies are still hanging where the Democrats have been in control for years and years and years, and the cities are derelict or about to be.
Yeah.
I was listening to, they were interviewing some businessmen in Seattle today.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the Canadians don't want to come to Seattle anymore. There were several people that own chains of restaurants. I'm not talking fast food.
Yeah.
Chains of restaurants in Seattle that are not coming back.
Yeah.
A lot of them are gravitating to Phoenix, Arizona now.
Yeah.
Because Arizona has given them all kinds of tax advantages. Canadians don't want to come down as tourists. The cruise lines are starting to avoid Seattle now, where they used to stop on the way to Alaska.
Stay away.
You know, what they've created in Seattle now is another Detroit.
Yeah. Well,
it's going to look just like Detroit before too long.
The big four, or actually the big five, Seattle, Minnesota, Detroit, Illinois, Chicago.
Yep.
I mean,
that mayor there cracks me up. Every time I look at her, she looks like she just stepped off the Walking Dead set.
Yeah. Yeah.
She looks like a frickin' zombie.
Yeah. You talking about Lightfoot?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only reason I can remember her name, because Lightfoot, you know, it's an unusual name, so I can remember that one. But let's let the guys have some news here. In Minneapolis, our boots on the ground there tells us they do have an autonomous zone.
Yes.
Isn't that nice to know?
They have it. Over 100 people have been killed since those riots started up there that have not been reported.
Yeah.
They are not reporting the autonomous zone. You know, that city is in worse shape than Seattle.
Yeah.
Relative to who and what it's being run by. The governor of the state was talking about using state funds to help Minneapolis bail itself out, and there was such an uproar from a lot of people in Minnesota about that, with property taxes going up and stuff like that. Supplement what went on. They're totally pissed because the governor never called up the National Guard.
Right.
Had the governor called up the National Guard, the 3rd precinct would have never been taken and burned to the ground.
Yeah. Yep. But Chaz Chop, which actually, I love Tucker Carlson's reporting on that. He's probably the best one out there at it. And, you know, I mean, he does use a bit of humor with it. You know, the Chaz Chop Olympics have a brick throwing contest and stuff like that. Window breaking and spitting. How far you can spit the furthest. Stuff like that. But, you know, this mayor up there says they're going to take it back. She hasn't a clue how she's going to do it. Hasn't a clue. She's taking anything the police have to disperse crowds with or protect themselves. She's taking it all away from them. So, hey, I can't wait for this to happen. to see what they're going to do, because you know they're going to wuss out. Or is she just going to keep it going until November? Are they all going to keep it going until November?
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like to me. What it looks like to me.
And these, a lot of these areas where these police forces have been neutered, like Minneapolis, they have 50% or less feet on the ground every night and day now, because they're down on the number of officers. A number of officers have left. They've retired early. They've got a lot of them that are off sick, and they got a lot of them that are calling in sick saying, I can't come to work.
Listen, yep, you guys, they said the rumor is out there that it's going to be a big July the 4th, what they call it, OG, blew out.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if that materializes. Are there going to be cops all across the nation calling in sick? It'll be interesting if that happens. We'll see. But if it does happen, the peaceful protesters, you know, those peaceful people that are burning up buildings, that are throwing bricks, that are attacking white people, that are attacking cops. You know, those guys, are they going to have a field day on July 4th?
Well,
are they going to attack the parades, OG?
Maybe it needs to happen, because like our boots on the ground in Minneapolis said, you know, the silent majority that are saying, hey, we can't get rid of the police department, has stood by like a bunch of proverbial keyboard warriors. They talk a lot, but they're not standing up to be heard, nor are they present at any of these meetings to put the fear of God in some of these elected officials to back them down. And until the supposed silent majority gets up off their ass, off the couch and from behind the keyboard, and starts doing things proactively, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, OG, let me see. Ghost Eagle, he says he's hoping to be in Seattle on the 4th. I'd like to ask Ghost Eagle, who's leading that charge? Who's leading that? I'd like to know. Because whoever it is needs to show up with enough people that it overwhelms. So that would be my advice. Because in classes we've had with Antifa and back then Acorn, generally we overwhelmed the amount of people they had there. But they can get really violent, really. And Antifa is willing to do it from behind. Understand, they're willing to do it from behind. Is what
let's not forget, they're showing up with baseball bats with spiked nails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're willing to use them.
Yeah, you guys. Roger, I saw that video in Bethel, Ohio. I saw that biker cold cock that protester, and of course the police just stood there. Hey, you don't need cops. That's what you said. You don't need cops. So stand by and let it happen. Payback's a bitch.
That kind of takes me back to remember when we had that Muslim convention here in Texas?
Oh yeah,
up in Garland.
Yeah,
and we were jamming up the traffic.
Oh
with the bike parade.
Yeah,
and the law enforcement was actually helping us.
Yeah, they were
smiling while it was happening.
Yeah, you guys, that was back when I I guess it was I forget which. I know it was a Democrat, a progressive, that said, "Well, what these terrorists need, what they need is jobs. These people were attacking our country, so we decided to put on a job fair."
Yeah.
At this event, we're putting on a muzzy job fair, and I know people hate it. There's some people out there that hate me saying this stuff. But anyway, we put on a job fair, and there two morons showed up, and they started causing some trouble. And a Garland police officer dispatched them to Allah. One guy.
Yes, he did. He was a sergeant.
He was a crack shot too, man. He sent them packing to the ever after. Oh yeah. So our job fair was a success. We had 2 show up and 2 dispatched to another planet, another realm. And they did not see 72 virgins. They weren't there. If they were ugly as hell. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. But we've had some wonderful times at the protests. You know that they aren't always all just. It can't be just. It's got to be fun. You got to make it. Get your point across, and it's got to be a good time for everybody. Now, if somebody comes there and wants to start some crap, and they get in your space, that's another story. If they start to harm you, that's another story. You have the right to protect yourself by whatever means necessary. And I can promise you here in Texas, they're not going to convict you for protecting yourself. Ever. Ever. So, beware, everybody. And keep your head, be aware of your surroundings at all times. Whether you're in a car or a motorcycle or what. Be aware. You know, I can't wait to see them start tearing Jesus statues down. You think that's going to be a calamity? They start that mess?
Yeah, I think. The more the authorities stand back and let these people do what they want to do without consequences, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I have heard some theories that once they discover how successful they are with tearing down monuments and statues, they'll graduate to coming after people.
Oh, yes. That's already happening in some places. And, over the past year, we've seen videos where young black men have just knocked the hell out of old ladies, old men, and even some young people. Just knock the hell out of them and try and knock them out one punch. And succeeding because they're much younger. I promise you. I know I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm packing most of the time. Most of the time. Because you don't know when the sparks are going to fly. And if you're at a major event, like here in Fort Worth, well, it wasn't even a major event, OG. They were having a party at a bar over here in the stockyards. It was a party to back the police, is what it was. Well, they had the BLM types show up there and just start screaming and raising hell, calling them all murderers. You know, not everybody there was cops. Some of them are trying to support them. Now, we've had our problems with cops. We've had our problems with the courts here in Texas, where they have literally taken us bikers to jail just as a form of harassment. Like I said before in previous shows, for failing to give a turn signal, for being over the white line, for carrying legally with a permit, taken to jail, having your weapon confiscated. And OG and I just read a courtroom transcript the other day. I don't have permission to say who or what, but we read the transcript. It was like a freaking comic book because the judge didn't understand that he had already declared a mistrial, that the trial should have been over. But yet they're still going back to court again and again and again. The freaking judge should have ended this months ago. But it keeps going and going and going. Just because they can.
Well, just like this thing with General Floyd. Department of Justice withdrew the charge.
Uh-huh.
And the judge wasn't going to let it go till the appeals court told him, you will dismiss.
Yeah. You're talking about General Flynn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I say?
Floyd.
Oh, yeah. No, General
I just
Flynn.
thought
Yep.
George Floyd had been promoted. I wouldn't doubt that neither. I wouldn't doubt that neither. They're already wanting to put monuments up for George Floyd while we're tearing the monuments down of our founders. It's crazy. And we shouldn't be allowing them to do it. Now, sooner or later, all this crap's got to be put back in the box. And, you know, hey, look, if there's going to be a damn civil war, if that wasn't really what Antifa and the BLM wants, they need to come out and say it instead of all this bullshitting around. Because, OG, I thought many years ago, back when 9/11 first happened, and we were finding out all about these mullahs and all this other stuff, the people that were preaching all this crap, I felt all along we should be taking care of them first. Them. The people that created it, the people that's preaching it, they should be gone, dead. And I'm almost feeling the same with this stuff. The perpetrators of this crap need to be in jail for a very long time. And I'm not only talking to politicians, I'm talking college professors and anybody of that mindset, that kind of BS. Now, I know if the country decides, and the children sooner or later will take this country totally into socialism because they've been indoctrinated into it. I've heard it from my own grandkids. I've heard it from them. And I immediately straightened them out. And that's what needs to be done all across this nation. People got to stand up. You can't be a wussy and sit on the sidelines and watch your country be taken over and crumbled because of some left-wing lunatics in our political ranks and in our universities and in our schools. And let me believe you me, they start at an early age. That's the reason there were battles over these school curriculums, hard fought battles to keep these curriculums out of the schools. And I promise you, the worst thing in a teacher's day is to have somebody, a parent, sit there and watch what the hell they're teaching them. That's the truth. That's the truth. Now, I got a granddaughter right now, it's an education major. I'm working on her every day. Every day. But she has to be careful, because if she's pointed out, she won't be a teacher long. And that's happening now with all these people. And let me say this, Jimmy Kimmel. I just thought of that. That son of a gun who's been on Donald Trump's and all the conservatives' asses, on white people's asses. It turns out he's one of the biggest racists of them all. Dressing up in blackface. Not only in blackface, he had a black body. If you saw the pictures of that. Telling jokes and having a high-ho time. And he's supposed to host the Oscars, which nobody watches anymore because that's turning into a political piece of shit. Just saying, everybody. Just saying. But OG, in closing, I do not have to spend my money, my time, anything else on sports where people are going to be kneeling, shucking, jiving, twerping, whatever, over the BLM. It was a horrible thing that happened to George Floyd. That Oscar is going to pay a big price for that. A big price. He's probably going to prison for the rest of his life. Minnesota does not have the death penalty, or they'd be asking for that.
That's for sure.
But, I do not have to, as a veteran, I do not have to be insulted when people don't stand and respect our national anthem, our flag. I don't have to accept it. I don't have to watch it. I don't have to participate. I don't have to give them my money. And yes, I will call them up, email them, and tell them, hey, you son of a bitch, I've quit watching your shit. I've quit watching your stuff. And of course, everybody knows Aunt Jemima was from Texas. That was her legacy. She was a big civil rights advocate. And now they're disrespecting her. Many of us grew up on that stuff. We grew up on that stuff.
Well, that story's not over yet.
No,
the family
not.
has filed suit.
Yeah. Yeah. And Eskimo pies? Really? Really? Snap, crackle, and pop? Really? Let me tell you, these progressive activists now have power, great power. And the only people standing between us and total anarchy is not our politicians, it's us. It's us. And one of the biggest things we can do is on November 3rd, go and vote for Donald Trump, because you know what the other side is. You know what that is. You're getting a glimpse of it. Imagine if AOC is the energy czar. Or energy jar, that would be good. We'd put her in a freaking jar. Anyway, imagine that, trying to get rid of fossil fuels, trying to get rid of airplanes. Just think of all the damn unemployment. And there are plenty of black people that work in the aircraft industry, plenty of them. You think they're going to be happy then? You think they're going to be worried about black lives then? Because they're not worried about them now. They're not worried about them in Chicago, Detroit, or any place else. They're not worried about children that get murdered. They're not worried about it. But you let something happen to the hands of a white cop or even a black cop, and they're out, they're ready to murder them. With no due process. None. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in Atlanta when those 2 police officers are not convicted. That's going to be outrageous, is what that's going to be. OG, you got anything to say in wrapping up, buddy? Everybody on the chat line, I thank you for being here tonight.
No, I think we covered it all.
You know, there's many times we say, look, we've been doing this once or twice a week for many years now, 404 episodes. And we always say, hey, all we got to do is wait a while. News of the day, some other crap happens. You know, and YouTube has been pretty good to us. They haven't censored us. Or maybe it's just because we don't have enough subscribers. We get 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, then they might be trying to censor us. But they figure we're small potatoes. You know, and they can, like on the chat line here, they can block language they don't particularly agree with. I can unblock it if I catch it. But it's a good platform. I hope they don't ruin it. We do have the capability of going to our own website and producing shows there. But we've already started here. And we'll stay here until they throw us off. If they start trying to control free speech. But they better be careful about that. Because things are going to change for Google, for YouTube, for Facebook, and all these others that want to censor opinions that differ from theirs. So this is where we're at. This is a great battle. This is a great battle going on. And we want you to join us going forward. Sooner or later, this COVID crap's going to be over with. Hopefully they find the vaccine soon. Hopefully everybody does all their social distancing and all that bull. Even though I hate it. I hate wearing a mask. You know, and our governor's paying a price. He's got great heat on him to make everybody wear a mask when they're out and about. We got even my legislator, who's turned into a lunatic, is bitching and moaning because he's not requiring everybody to wear a mask when they're outside. But what they do have is they have the stores that they're telling them to tell everybody to wear a mask because they're passing a buck on to the businesses. But okay, I can live with that. You know, hey, if they don't want me there and I'm not wearing a mask, then, you know, hey, I have the right not to participate. Go in their business, spend my money. I'm perfectly happy to say it. Anything else, OG?
No, sir.
With that, everybody, we'll see you here next week, hopefully with better news on the COVID front and more news after we've patched our new chapter in. And OG, do we have anything on the horizon as far as chapters go?
Yeah, we got another state in the hopper.
Okay.
I should be hearing from them before too long. Be a Yankee state.
Uh-oh. You boys up north.
But true patriots.
That's right. You guys up north now. Get ready. Get ready.
We're coming.
That's right. Good evening, everybody. And ride safe, people. Ride safe.
Stay healthy.
Bye-bye.
Stay healthy.